Karlsruhe, Germany, 1999. A banker sits across from one of the most powerful men in Baden-Württemberg. Outside the window, a helicopter idles on the landing pad. Inside, Manfred Schmider, Big Manni, leans back in his chair. Tailored suit, Rolex, tie with a pin. He slides a contract across the desk. 50 million Deutsche Mark. The banker signs without reading it. Why would he? The minister-president of Baden-Württemberg attended this man's birthday party. Franz Burda flew in on the Concorde. You don't question men like this. You sign. What the banker doesn't know, what nobody in that room knows, is that roughly half the machines backing this contract don't exist. Karlsruhe, 1949. Manfred Schmider is born into a merchant family, comfortable, respectable, not rich. His father sells things for a living, and somewhere in the DNA, that instinct transfers completely. By 16, Manni is selling life insurance after school. Not lemonade, not newspapers. Life insurance. He's not doing it because he needs the money. He's doing it because he's found something out about himself. He can make people believe him. He also has a moped. That sounds small. In 1965 Germany, it isn't. Other kids walk to school. Manni arrives on 2 wheels, engine humming. And suddenly, the boy who didn't have many friends has a crowd. He's learned Rule 1 without anyone teaching it to him. If you have something people want, they come to you. He starts university, drops out, sells VWs, then Mercedes, then bigger things. He's not built for theory. He's built for the room, for the handshake, for the moment when someone decides to trust you. 1986. Manni is 37 years old and restless. He reads about a technology developed in the United States, horizontal drilling machines. The concept is elegant. Instead of tearing open streets to lay cables and pipes, you drill underneath. No noise, no disruption, no mess. The future of infrastructure. He licenses the technology from an American company called FlowMole and founds a company in Ettlingen with his partner Klaus Kleiser. He calls it FlowTex. The pitch is brilliant. Europe is modernizing. Cities need fiber optic cables, gas lines, water pipes. Traditional methods are expensive and slow. FlowTex machines go underground, invisible, fast. Manfred puts together a promotional film that wouldn't look out of place before the evening news. Gleaming machines, clean-cut workers, a narrator voice dripping with confidence. We lay underground, without digging. Banks don't just bite, they scramble over each other. The first financing round, 20 million Deutsche Mark. It works. The machines work. The contracts come in. For a moment, FlowTex is exactly what Manni says it is. A real company with real machines doing real work. But there's a problem. German soil is not American soil. The technology that worked beautifully in flat, open American terrain runs into rocks, buried pipes, old infrastructure. Jobs take longer. Machines break down. Contracts dry up. By the late 80s, FlowTex has the infrastructure for a booming business and not nearly enough actual business to sustain it. Most people would downsize, renegotiate, come clean. Manni does something else entirely. He starts lying about the numbers. Not dramatically at first. Not a cliff jump. A slow step off a ledge that he tells himself he can step back from. He shows the bank's projected revenue as if it's current revenue. He books future contracts as existing ones. He tells himself he's just getting ahead of the curve. The orders will come. The machines will deploy. He's borrowing time, not committing fraud. Then comes the idea that changes everything. Sale and leaseback. Here's how it works. FlowTex sells its drilling machines to banks and leasing companies. The banks pay cash. FlowTex then leases the machines back, paying monthly rates while continuing to operate them. It's a legitimate financing structure used by real companies all over the world. Manni sees something else in it. If you can sell a machine to a bank, collect the cash, and then just keep paying the lease on it, you don't actually need the machine to generate revenue. You just need the next bank to buy the next machine, and the next, and the next. The only catch is the machines have to exist. Manni decides that's a technicality. He starts selling machines that exist only on paper. He manufactures serial numbers. He creates documentation. He prints certificates. When a bank sends an auditor to verify the machines, FlowTex is ready. The same 30 machines get moved between warehouses. Serial number plates get switched between identical units in the span of a morning. The auditor arrives with a list of numbers. He checks the plates. They match. He leaves satisfied. They came with a list. They checked the numbers. That was basically it. Manni's former employee doesn't even sound bitter saying it. He sounds almost impressed. The money starts coming in at a scale that stops feeling real. 1993, 1994, 1995. Every year bigger than the last. Bankers stop asking questions they should be asking because FlowTex is their best client. Branch managers compete to offer Manni better terms. What can we do for FlowTex? How can we help? A machine that should have raised every alarm in Germany becomes the golden goose that nobody wants to examine too closely. Manni helps with that, deliberately. When a banker visits the facility, the meeting lasts as long as it takes to walk through a warehouse and check a list. Then Manni says the word, liquid lunch. They fly to Alsace, just across the French border, or board the yacht, or get driven to one of the restaurants where Manni is already on first-name terms with everyone. The wine is excellent. The food is extraordinary. By the time they're flying back in the helicopter, the numbers in the warehouse feel like a formality that's already been handled. He is also, by this point, genuinely one of the most connected men in the state. The FDP chairman, Jurgen Morlock, joins as a company spokesman. The man knows everyone in Baden-Württemberg politics. When the minister-president breaks ground on Manni's planned new headquarters, a glass palace at his privately purchased airport, the image is complete. This man is not a fraudster. Fraudsters don't have politicians in their backer section. Fraudsters don't own airports. Fraudsters don't buy a 55-meter yacht from the Sultan of Brunei. His 50th birthday party has 300 guests. Nobles, politicians, industry titans. Franz Burda, one of Germany's most powerful media moguls, flies in on the Concorde from his vacation specifically to attend. The invitations are boarding passes. The dress code is airline crew. Manni's secretaries wear stewardess uniforms and guide guests to their seats. There's a fireworks display over the estate on the Turmberg. People were chasing after those invitations. Nobody questions the man at the center of all this. That's the point. Meanwhile, the machine is eating itself alive. By 1999, FlowTex has so many fake machines in the system, so many monthly lease payments owed to so many banks, that Manni needs 60 million Deutsche Mark every single month just to keep the carousel spinning. Every new machine sold to a new bank pays the lease on an old fake machine. Classic Ponzi logic. The circle must keep expanding, or it collapses instantly. He's employing thousands of real people. He's generating real revenue from real drilling contracts that are simply nowhere near enough. The gap between reality and the fiction has become an ocean. KPMG is auditing the books the entire time. They confirm the existence of 1,423 drilling systems in 1997. The actual number of real machines is a fraction of that. Earlier in the year, the tax office in Karlsruhe had already flagged serious discrepancies. Missing invoices, suspicious payment flows, numbers that didn't hold up. FlowTex was claiming to have sold over 700 systems in 1996 alone. The actual market leader in horizontal drilling sold roughly 80 per year globally. 80. The red flags are not subtle. They are enormous. They are written in capital letters. Nobody pulls the thread. February 4th, 2000. A Friday afternoon. FlowTex employees are thinking about the weekend. Then, police in the building, tax investigators, criminal division, boxes being carried out, computers being seized. Manni is arrested on the premises. His secretary describes it like a film switching off mid-scene. Everything that had seemed solid, the power, the glass towers, the helicopters, the connections, suddenly revealed as a projection. The screen goes white. There's nothing behind it. The Sparkasse Bremen files for insolvency 4 days later. Within weeks, it's clear this is the largest fraud case in German economic history. 396 creditors. Losses between 1.5 and 2 billion euros depending on how you count. The insolvency proceedings drag on for 20 years. At the end, creditors receive 5.2% of what they're owed. Manni is sentenced to 11.5 years. He serves 7. KPMG settles separately, paying 100 million Deutsche Mark to a pool of defrauded banks and leasing companies, without admitting liability. Today, Manfred Schmider lives on Mallorca. He is nearly 70. The empty FlowTex headquarters, the airport, the villa on the Turmberg, all of it still standing, all of it belonging to someone else now. He doesn't look triumphant. He doesn't look destroyed either. You slide into it without realizing. It gets bigger and bigger and you stop noticing. He says his biggest regret is his family, not the banks. The banks, in his framing, were complicit. They were chasing commissions. They wanted to believe. And he's not entirely wrong about that. Without institutions willing to suspend basic scrutiny in exchange for prestigious clients, the whole structure collapses in year 2. But the machines didn't sell themselves. The boarding pass invitations were his idea. The liquid lunches were his idea. The serial number plates being switched between warehouses while auditors waited outside, his idea. The moped was 50 years earlier, but the logic was identical. Have something people want badly enough, and they'll look the other way on the questions they should be asking. Mundus vult decipi. The world wants to be deceived. Manni just obliged.